Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. First and foremost, I gotta say, live stream started late today. If you're watching the, what is this? The playback, I guess this would be called the playback. But yeah, no excuses. Just started late. I forgot about the stream, but we're gonna get it done and do it right now. But I did send out all the charts I was paying attention to for today. Gave my reason and description in the Discord channel. If you're not in the Discord server, go ahead, go down to the description. The link is in the description. And while you're down there, go ahead, hit the like button and go ahead subscribe so you can know when these live streams are posted and when I post any other YouTube videos. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So let's actually just, of course I'm going to mark up the full markup, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the Discord and just go one by one on each of the charts that I sent out and explain it in further detail. So when you go back to look at it, if you do go back to look at it, you pretty much have a good idea of what I mean by what I'm saying in here. So first screenshot I sent out for today was actually the dollar Swiss. And dollar Swiss, we're actually holding a trade, or I'm holding a trade on it right now. And let's go ahead and look at this a little bit closer. So I said currently I see price still pushing up over the next few days. A corrective pattern may come, and I would primarily like to see the buy set up off the 0.90983. Okay, so what that means, wow, that's actually showed in the next screenshot that I'll show you guys in a second. But all I did for this screenshot is basically move my stop loss into profit because I had new structure. I saw a new structure was built, so I moved my stop loss into profit. Again, I don't move my stop loss to break even after a certain number of pips. I base it off of structure, move my stop loss to the next area that price is unlikely to go to. If price goes to that area, I know that my move is over and I should be looking the opposite direction most likely. But other than that, that's it on that current position. And then this new setup here, so my buy area is 0.90953. Waiting on a pattern to form in this area. This pair has been bullish for the past few weeks, so I will initially look for a bullish confirmation. But if a reversal pattern comes at the 0.91991 area, I will consider this setup invalid. Okay, so let's look at that. And just piggybacking off of what I just said on the last screenshot, basically if I see an ascending channel in this area, I'm looking for price to reverse and not looking for this buy opportunity anymore. It really everything that depends on whether I'm gonna take this opportunity or not depends on what pattern forms next. Okay, pattern hasn't officially formed yet, so I can't say that this bullish pattern is going to form and I'm going to buy here just yet. So I just got to wait for more structure to be built. Now with that, let's go ahead and look at the chart and mark it up fully. So if you don't know my strategy is pretty simple. I'll just use pretty much two really basic concepts. The first basic concept is boxing in price and reacting to it. So I use trend lines and horizontal lines to box in price, and essentially what I want to do is squeeze price into a position to where it really only has one area that it can go to escape. Okay, that's what I do when I use top-down analysis. Okay, and then the second thing that I use is what's really used to find my opportunities or to identify the opportunities in the market. And it's relatively simple, so it's quick to explain. Essentially, you have three moves in the market. You have your impulse, which is just a strong, aggressive move in one direction. It's made of very strong momentum candles, whether that's bullish or bearish. But you have an impulse, and that impulse tells me the direction the market wants to go. Okay, the impulse tells me the direction the market wants to go. After that impulse, I'm looking for a correction or a pattern, and ideally I would like to see the pattern form small consolidating candles going in the opposite direction of the impulse. All right, and if that happens, if they collectively go in the opposite direction of the impulse and there's small candles that are consolidating, I'm looking for price, or essentially that's confirming that price wants to go in that same direction as the impulse. And after that, I'm looking for price to continue in the same direction as the impulse, all right, and a continuation, or you can simply just call it a new impulse. So basically how I look at the market is impulse, pattern, impulse. That's pretty much it. After I box price in, this is what I look for, and that's what I capitalize off of. And ideally I want to enter at the bottom of that corrective phase or that pattern. And this is how it looks like inversely if you're looking for sales. Boom. And I want to look for an entry here. Alright, so that's my setup, and I'm gonna go ahead and mark up dollar Swiss using those methods. Now if you guys do have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the live chat, and if you want me to go over any pairs before I end the call, make sure you type it in the live chat. I'll be sure to go over it or take a glance at it before we end the call. So again, use horizontal lines and trend lines to box in price, and all I'm looking for are major areas where price has reversed at, starting off the monthly time frame. I see there's a downtrend here, but I'm not going to draw it until I go down to a lower time frame because it can be clearer once I get there. Now on the weekly time frame, I can identify that trend line. Starting from here, going straight down. I'm actually going to start from here to get the most recent touches. Basically looking at the two most recent touches within the trend to draw my trend line. And I can see here price broke through that trend line, gave us a correction on a lower time frame, and then is now moving up impulsively. So once we go down to a lower time frame, this downtrend won't really mean a lot to us. So once we get down to probably the daily, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And is there any other way that we can box price in any better? Is essentially the question I asked before moving down to the next time frame. And at this point, since I see my demand zone and my supply zone, or some people may call it support and resistance levels, since I see both of them, I'm not going to draw anything new. I'll only draw a new one if I don't see one of them. So now let's go down to the daily. Now off the daily time frame, I see that we have an uptrend here after the break of this trend line. So now that I see that we have that uptrend, I can go ahead and delete this downtrend because we're in a new trend now, and that previous trend doesn't really matter to us. And now that I see my demand zone but I don't see my supply zone, I'm gonna go ahead and draw a new one. I'm gonna go ahead and claim this area right now because I see price made a major rejection from that point. And you can, if you want to measure by pips, you can measure by pips. It dropped about 500 pips from that point, and last time price was above it, price rose up about 500 pips as well. If we look further to the left, we can see more rejections there. So by the number of repeated rejections, it's giving me more confidence to know that this is a strong level that I should look for a reaction to, because price essentially magnetizes itself to that area. Now here off the daily time frame, I do see that we have this very strong impulsive move. Again, remember, impulsive moves, strong aggressive candles moving in one direction, and then corrections are small consolidating candles generally moving in the opposite direction. All right, so after every single impulse, I need to see a correction. So I know that we have this impulse, so what I'm really waiting for is a correction to form afterwards. So what I would like to see is a correction and then an impulsive move up to that supply zone up there. That's what I'm looking at pretty much long term, or that's what I have in the back of my head as I'm scaling down to the lower time frames. I'm saying, okay, there's a possible correction that can form here, so there's a possible short-term sell, and then the major move is actually a buy that could happen within possibly the next few weeks, but this is just a longer term setup that I have in the back of my head. So that's the daily. We have price pretty well boxed in. On a lower time frame, it looks like there's an uptrend there. So I'm gonna go ahead, go down to the 4 hour and see if I can draw it there. Now on the 4 hour time frame, there is an uptrend. I can draw it from here, but that leaves a little space. Now that we have a new touch, we can go ahead and make this trend line a little bit tighter. Start our trend line from here, and then adjust it like that. Okay. Now right here is a perfect example for me to go deeper into what I mean by impulses and corrections, or how to view them, if you didn't really catch on to it at the beginning. You can see starting here, there's strong aggressive candles moving in the impulsive direction, just moving up. And then after that, we have basically consolidating candles. Basically, can say like a zigzag pattern or just consolidation that happens, and then after that, our move happens, or my move happens. So that's what I'm repeatedly looking for, and primarily this works in trending markets, and that's what I primarily like. Okay. But anyway, continuing on to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we can see that previously we just had an impulse, we had our correction. Now we have this new impulse, and after this impulse, we're waiting on a correction, and then looking for a continuation up. That's pretty much it on dollar Swiss. All right, right now. So going to be managing the trade that I'm currently in. There is an area that I'm paying attention to right here on my live chart, and this, just before this area, is where I'm actually taking profit, and I'm paying attention to this area because I noticed there's a resistance area right there. Like last time price came to it, it made a significant drop. So what I would like to see is price actually get up to that level, reach that level, go past my take profit, and I'd like to see what forms around this area, and I'll react accordingly. If it forms a reversal pattern, I'll start looking for short-term sales, possibly down to this trend line. And also remembering that off the daily, I'm looking for a larger correction to form. So if a sell opportunity does present itself, and let me draw this out so I'm just not spitting out words. Where's my marker at? If a sell opportunity does present itself and price breaks through this trend line here, I'm looking for price to continue down and scale all the way down to this trend line. That's if we get a reversal pattern there, and if price breaks a few levels. Basically that trend line level is really all it needs to break in order for me to start looking for that daily correction and then sell. But right now, all buy. My eyes are only for buys on dollar Swiss right now. Let's go ahead and draw this out. Again, if you're just hopping on, if you have any pairs that you want me to go over, go ahead, type in live chat. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead, type in live chat as well. I'll be sure to answer them and go over those pairs before the call ends, or at least talk about it. All right. So that was dollar Swiss. The next one that I sent out for today was EURJPY. EURJPY, I actually entered for this about an hour ago. All right, and my buyer is 128.52. Let's go ahead and look at that. Same thing. Of course, if you go through pretty much all my screenshots, almost all my screenshots, the continuation setups, this is what it looks like. I have an impulse, I have a pattern or a correction, and then I enter for a buy and look for a continuation. Now, of course, there is more that goes into that, but that's the basis of it, and that's how I view the market. But so I entered for this around. Let's go ahead and find where I sent the entry out right here. Entered for it around 8:15, and looking for it to scale up to 130.99. And let's go ahead and look at it on the chart. EURJPY. Alright. So gonna do a full markup on this one as well. First finding our demand zone right here, just a recent level that price has rejected, and then finding our supply zone, another area that price has rejected and sold off from, and it has rejected this area several times. And again, every single line that I draw on my chart is an area. It's not just a line. It's not a specific price point that I'm looking for. It's an area. So even though I send out, okay, at this price is where I'm looking to buy at this price is where I'm looking for a reversal pattern at, I'm not really paying attention to that particular price point. I care about that area on the chart. Okay, here on the weekly, I see we have a uptrend here. I want to say it's a steep uptrend, so has potential to be broken. If it does become broken, it can be broken pretty easily. But overall, since we are in this uptrend, it's going to be looking for buys as we go down to a lower time frame. See both my demand and my supply zone, so there's no need to draw anything new or box price in anymore. So now we're going to go down to the daily time frame. Gonna tighten the trend line up a little bit. Set that. Okay, so on the daily, it kind of hides that supply zone up there, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw a new one. I'm gonna draw it right here. Look for multiple rejections. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so that's pretty much the next target, at least for now. Let me chill out. My fault. I skipped one. This is the next target for now. Price made a major rejection from this point. You can see price tested this area and sold off over 1,300 pips. So it's an area of interest. You don't want to just ignore certain areas in the market. And of course, like, it takes a lot of practice to identify those really quickly, identify these type of areas really quickly. I remember when I first started off, I was honestly, I didn't trade like this in the first place, but I learned support and resistance, and what I would do is draw lines all on my chart like this about at every single point that price that basically made a rejection at, which can lead to a lot of confusion. Can lead to a lot of confusion because it's basically your job to make a decision every single time price hits one of your lines. And then you're staring at the chart all day, and then you're like, oh, is it gonna reject here, or is it gonna go to the next one? That type of thing all day, every day. It's not an efficient way to mark up your chart. It's not an efficient way to trade, in my opinion. Okay, so currently that's the next target of price. I'd like to see price scale up one more time to that area. See, we have an uptrend here on a lower time frame. We'll draw it on the 4-hour time frame because it will be clearer to make the touches on that time frame. Also, we can draw a new demand zone here once we no longer see this demand zone down here. And doing all this to just box and price more, so I can essentially see, okay, price is going or wants to go in this direction. How can I capitalize off of it? Now here off the 4-hour, we're gonna go ahead and draw that uptrend here. Gonna draw the uptrend now. All right, and we have this very strong impulsive move up and then coming down So relatively aggressively, initially came down aggressively, but then started to move correctively as it scaled down a little bit further. And once it reached this area, or basically off of this area, this is where I'm looking for an initial rejection. Not necessarily looking for it to shoot off exponentially or anything like that. I just want to see the type of reaction that forms here, and we'll see basically how price reacts. We zoom out. Let's see if we can box price in a little bit better right here. It's good. So now we basically have a top and bottom to the market, so we know, okay, if price goes up, this is what I'm looking in this area. I'm looking for a sell. Price comes down in this area, I'm looking for a buy. If price comes down further, this area I'll look for a buy again. Now let's go down to the 1 hour time frame, since price is pretty much boxing on this time frame. Off the 1 hour time frame, we can see that this movement is our impulse, and then this movement after it has formed a pattern and is our correction. Okay, so with that being a buy signal or a buy setup, I look for an entry here. I got my entry pattern on a lower time frame. I'm looking to buy up to this area. I'm actually looking for that area to be broken and go up to another level. But in this area, I'll definitely be watching price and to see how it reacts. But other than that, that's pretty much my markup for EURJPY. And again, it's already sent out, so you can see it here. Let's go to the next pair, which I believe was GN, right? Yeah. So GN, there's excuse me. Let me drink on my water. But GN, basically, there's nothing for me to do today. And what I want to see is a reversal pattern form here. I like to see price break out of that pattern and then give me a continuation setup. And then I look for it to continue down to about the 1.9 level. All right, and I'll quickly mark this one up. I won't spend too much time on pound kiwi. This is not much that I'm really looking for it. Looking for it. There's not much that I'm looking for in this pair right now. Later through this week, as things start to develop, yes, I'm sure like there will be an opportunity, and I'll send it out to the Discord server. Again, if you want to join it, if you're not in it, links in the description. All right, starting on the monthly time frame, drawing my demand zone there, drawing a supply zone right here, just levels where price has reacted to. On a lower time frame, looks like there's a downtrend and an uptrend, so we're going to draw both of those. Here off the monthly time frame, we can start our downtrend here. We can see price has actually started to break through, but on the weekly, they're small. Wow, on the weekly, these are small candles that are breaking it, or I would say are corrective candles that are breaking it. So in that case, I would extend it to the wick, the extended wick here. Okay, and again, all it takes is practice to identify that and notice the difference between strong momentum candles that are actually breaking a specific level, or are they weak candles that are pretty much testing, or what a lot of people say, faking out in that scenario. Before I consider this trend line broken, I need to see very aggressive candle break this, and I would prefer to see it on the weekly time frame. Okay, and what I see on the weekly time frame, basically an impulse here, correction here. I'd like to see this sell at least down to the close of this bearish candle over here. which is about the 1.8661. All right, that's ideally where I would like to see the market go, but we're gonna look for opportunities on lower time frames before actually executing off of that or thinking about holding those lower time frame entries to that level. So now I'm gonna go down to the daily time frame, reset the chart. And since we already box price in with this pattern, with these trend lines at this, since we already box priced in with these trend lines, there's not much for me to do on this daily time frame. Just gonna be looking for that sell and see if we can capitalize off of it on a lower time frame. So now let's go down to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, I'm gonna reset the chart, zoom out a bit. Okay, so here I see my demand zone, but I don't see my supply zone. So I'm gonna draw a new supply zone right up here at this high. I'm gonna look to the left to ensure that I have multiple touches in this area, so I know that it's a strong level. And I see the touches, I like the touches, so I'm gonna keep my level there. And if we just look at the market structure that's been forming here in this area, we had a reversal pattern that formed in this area. It rejected here. Price broke through, gave us a correction and gave us this sell, and then we got this reversal pattern here, and prices moved up impulsively, really aggressively. But I know this is a strong sell area, or I at least identify it as a strong sell area. So what I'm going to be looking for is another reversal pattern to form in this area and actually look for price to sell. Now, some people may consider this a possible formation of an inverted head and shoulders. True. It's possible, but in this situation, I'm not going to be looking for that. It's in an area where I'm looking for it to sell, so I'm going to be looking for sales. I don't really care about the buy opportunity, and I won't care about the buy opportunity until this trend line is broken and this supply zone is broken. So I'd like to see both of those levels actually be broken, and then I'll look for a buy setup after that point. But for now, this is where we're at. Now, once I go to the lower time frame, the 1 hour time frame, the setup I'm looking for here should be a lot clearer. All right. So, like I said, strong impulsive move up, and what I would like to see form is an ascending channel here, which is a reversal pattern. Then I would want to see price impulsively break, and the opportunity that I would actually take is a pullback after that, or a pattern formation. And I look to sell down to about this trend line initially, and we'll see how price reacts here. If price is still moving aggressively in this area and doesn't form a reversal pattern here, we have the potential for price to break and then sell down to lower levels. First target would be here after the break. Second target would be down here. Let me circle that. All right, moving on to my last pair. And for these 4 pairs I've been paying attention to pretty much since January. I'm planning on paying attention to them for the remainder of the year, actually. At least strong primary focus on these pairs. Obviously, if I'm noticing that I'm losing on one consistently, I'm going to ditch it or toss to the side, take it off my list for the time being. But these are the primary pairs I see myself trading for the year, or I plan on trading for the year. Okay. So I have 2 setups set on. Cable or pound dollar, And let's go over the 4-hour setup, since that's the one that I'm looking for tapping first. Basically, I have a strong impulsive move here. I'm waiting on a correction to the 61.8, and if price breaks through the 61.8, I'll look for a rejection off the 78.6, right? And I'll look to sell just down right before the this previous low here. If it does reject, it would be considered a low. But yeah, because, and the reason I'm stopping there instead of continuing down further is because I have a daily setup that I'm looking to form. Now with this daily setup, have a strong impulsive move. I'd like to see a corrective pattern form. Right now we just have two very strong bearish candles that have come down, and I need to see a bit more. I need to see some consolidation form here essentially. And then on the next test here, I'll look for a buy opportunity, and then at this high, right at the close of this bullish candle here, I'm gonna really pay attention to price, because if price does wick above here but closes below this high here, I'm going to close my opportunity. I'm going to close my trade if I get it. The reason for that is because there's a possible double top that could form here, and if that does form, I want to be out of the trade. I want to secure my profits. I don't want to like that. That's my consideration basically for closing in this situation. But if price does close above here off the daily time frame, I'm willing to hold it all the way, and looks like I'm going for about 320 pips and risking about 50 if price sets up exactly how I'm looking for it to set up. And I will be managing this on the daily, so I won't be paying attention to what is forming on the lower time frames if this opportunity comes. But those are all my setups. And before we end, I of course have to mark up GU again. Just reset that. Okay, just like all the other ones, gonna go ahead box price in. We have an uptrend there on the weekly time frame. We actually have a tighter uptrend right here, which I'll draw on the daily. Is there anything else I can do besides that uptrend though? No, it looks like I'll draw that on the daily. Okay, so here on the daily, I'm gonna go ahead and draw this uptrend here. Boom, thank you. Now there is a level here. Price is pretty far off from that point, honestly. I want a closer level, this one. See, price has come down to it, rejected it, and it seems like a good area to at least pay attention to price. So the two targets that I have for this right now, or let me not say it in those type of words. Essentially, my first target, or my target that I'm looking for a price to scale up to, is up here to this area, this previous high, about 1.43815, that area up there. That's why I'm still looking for a buy. And of course, we've been in this pretty strong, or at least consistent uptrend. So I'm gonna stick with the trend until the trend's broken. And again, strong impulsive move here, looking for a corrective pattern, and then looking to buy up to that level. And if at any time price breaks this trend line, I'll look for a sell down to this demand zone. But right now, I don't have any confirmations for that, so I'm not going to be looking for sales. Going down to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see we had an uptrend here. Price broke that uptrend, gave us a strong impulsive move. After that impulsive move, or after every impulsive move, we're looking for a correction. So I'd like to see price move up correctively, and then I'd like to see a sell really from this area here. those are all my markups. Looks like we don't have anything in the live chat. There is one pair that I want to look at before ending the call. We've been tracking dollar yen really since January. We tracked it for a buy at the beginning, and oh man, I hope I didn't delete the markup. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we've been tracking it for a buy since down here. We got another buy opportunity here, and we had another buy opportunity that we talked about last week in this area. Let's go to the 4-hour. Now I was trading dollar yen pretty heavily last year, and it made it at least on my top 10 list for the pairs. And again, not going to be too detailed with this markup. I'm just going to keep these markups pretty simple and not give exact areas, because it's not particularly on my list and it's not really requested. It's just a pair that I like to keep an eye on and watch play out. Really, it's like a what's that Snapchat? I haven't been on Snapchat in a minute, but what's that Snapchat? There's a Snapchat feed or something like that. I don't know what you call it, about satisfying things. But basically, I see an ascending channel here. I'm looking for an impulse to move down, looking for a correction, and then price to sell off. Now with that sell, I am looking for it to ultimately just form a correction, and then possibly another buy opportunity, possibly. I'm gonna keep looking for buy opportunities until this trend line's broken. Like with these corrections, I'm not necessarily saying that the correction has come to the trend line, because like price doesn't always test trend lines, and honestly the trend lines are really just used to figure out the overall direction and to realize like possibly when a trend is broken if you're not paying attention to the higher highs or higher lows, or my fault, higher lows or lower lows depending on what type of trend you're looking at, or lower highs. Man, I'm backwards. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm trying to say. But essentially looking for another correction here and looking for a continuation up to this level. If price doesn't just continue to just rocket and scale up to about the 107.75. I'll change this color so it's clear. Sure, why not? All right, but that's it for today. I really appreciate everyone that hopped on the call today. If you like the stream, go ahead, hit that like button. If you want to keep up with the content, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Again, I want to apologize for starting late today. Again, not going to make an excuse, just forgot about it. But I'll catch you guys later.